Happy Wednesday to all of you. You got to brace yourselves today because if last week we talked in the episode of Water Yourself Wednesdays about it's okay to really not be okay. So this week I thought since, we're having Thanksgiving next week, it'll be great to talk about the gratitude flip. And if you're wondering what the heck is that, Zeph? Well, you'll just have to stay tuned because today is all about gratitude. And that's a story about how I have two guests instead of the standard one for our Water Yourself Wednesdays show. Stay tuned and we'll be right back.
Listen, Wednesdays may be a hump day for some people, but it need not be for you. How would it feel to just hit pause for a moment? A chance to refresh and re-energize your mind, body, and spirit. Let's find out together on the Water Yourself Wednesday show. Tune in as real women share their stories of triumphs and transformations and how they have manifested the lives that they desire and truly deserve.
Hey, welcome back. Before I start the show, I just want to say a quick hello to our sister right here on the show. She's behind the scenes helping us out. And she says, it's Shannon Daniels. And she's saying, hello, beauties. And she says, love me some Water Yourself Wednesdays. All right, everybody. If you're new to the show, you're probably wondering what is Water Yourself Wednesdays all about. Because, sometimes people think about Wednesdays as hum days. Well, for us, it's an opportunity to pause for a moment, so that we can re-energize and refresh our mind, body, and spirit, so that we can rejuvenate ourselves so that we can have a life that we deserve and desire. Today, in this episode, we're talking all about gratitude flip, turning challenges into gold gems. And for some of you, if you're here, I can't even talk today. What is up, Zaf? We're all about real women sharing real stories and real transformations. All right. So I have to say something about this episode today. We're talking about gratitude. So I have my t-shirt that says thankful. Why am I thankful? So if you're new to the show, we usually have a guest, right? Today, I am so grateful because I have two guests. The story behind it is that, when you ask and put it out in the universe, even if you're stuck, you go like, oh my God, send me some great people for the show. And that both of them, I kid you not, all right? If anyone believes in angel numbers, they both responded at 11:11. Boom! Drop mic. Okay, I am kidding you. All right, before I get on, I just want to say hello. So grateful. Yes, Shannon, so grateful to be here to absorb the message. It should say, love your shirt, self thankful. Yeah, hashtag that, people. If you're making a comment in the comments, hashtag thankful. All right, I am not gonna delay because we do have two guests. Oh my God. And you will see that we're all color coordinated today. We all got the memo, even it was last minute. All right, I'm gonna read the first guest for today. Her name is Michelle Cortizo, and let me tell you, she's my brand new connection. I'm gonna read about her a little bit. So Michelle began her interior design business in the year 2000. However, she has always expressed herself through the creativity of enhancing spaces. Originally a Brooklyn, New York native, Michelle has spent the last 23 years designing mostly residential spaces in and around the New England area. Now, the other one, she's an old face on some of our shows, a real old sister with us. So sister, when I say old, that's not like old people. I'm talking an old connection, right? And a connection that we've built for a long time here at Water Yourself Wednesdays and also So Victory. Now, SJ, I want to read a little bit more about SJ because SJ and I, we met each other, I would say probably gosh, I feel like it's been a very, very long time, way before COVID. So before SJ lived in Connecticut and she moved over to Seattle. Let me read a little bit about her, if I can find where I put her information, because I actually dropped her information somewhere and I just got to find it on my screen because I'm doing a lot of the behind the scenes production today. All right. So here's the scoop on SJ. At age 16, she lived in Southern California, and in high school, SJ tested for a learning disability. And lo and behold, she had a fabulous combo platter of auditory processing disorder and dyslexia. She spent 10 years learning how to communicate verbally and solve problems while delegating her most challenging tasks. As a young adult, she quickly rose in corporate jobs, leading creative teams for Victoria's Secret, MTV, Nike, Estee Lauder, and Carter's Inc. Today, Super Julie Braun, also known as SJ, is a superwoman with an even more super personality. You think I'm the only one who has it? Well, wait till you meet SJ. So she founded Super Purposes in 2018 with a vision to help anyone get the career and salary they deserve, and if you're willing to put in the work. She lives in the digital nomad lifestyle and plays Sudoku, practices daily sobriety, whispers to crows, and is a socially conscious volunteer. So help me welcome these beautiful ladies to the stage. Whoop, whoop. Yay! Oh my God. See, what did I say about us? Color coordinating. Right? We are all like last minute, right? We all got the memo. This is yes, this is no, people. Okay. So we all, and I was saying behind the scenes that I should have just worn my glasses too, because my glasses would have fit in right there.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I know, right?
Yes.
Ladies, I'm thankful to have you both on the show. So welcome to Water Yourself Wednesday's show.
Excited to be here.
Yes. I am so excited to talk about the topic of gratitude flip. So if you're just tuning in, everybody, this is our topic for today. I'm going to put it up on screen so you know what we're talking about. So it's gratitude flip, turning challenges into gold gems. Ooh, I love this. SJ, welcome to the show. Let me get your intake about when you hear people talk about gratitude flip, what comes to mind for you?
Whenever we take something that was devastating to us, or a shot to the heart, or a punch to the gut, anything that I don't know why all of a sudden I got very violent, domestic, self-abusive. But whenever we have those moments where we're just like, I can't get out of bed today because what happened to me yesterday was so horrible, we need to look at those opportunities and actually see them with gratitude, because there is a bigger reason why it's happening. Our lives are built around challenges, failures, sadness, moments of happiness too.
Yep.
But we really grow when we have things happen to us. And I was thinking about this topic. And Zeph, I'm going to go right to the first topic, I think. Is it okay?
Absolutely. We talk about sharing vulnerabilities and our stories are cray-cray. Go for it.
Yeah. So I was thinking about, what's something that has happened to me recently that I actually was grateful for. I had a client, I won't name any names, but they were a rather big client in the divorce world. And I did a lot of work with them. And in very short order, they fired me.
Wow.
And I had that moment, that first moment where I was like, oh, that one hurt. And then I was like, oh no, thank you. Because number one, you didn't really like them to begin with. Number two, what they said they were going to do and what they actually did were the opposite. And number three, I knew that was going to free me up for another client who I was going to love. And lo and behold, that's what happened. I was able to actually thank them for firing me. And then I thanked them again. And there's a lot of power when you say, oh, thank you. Yeah. And then when you say goodbye, you're like, okay, thank you. There's so much power in that. And they're all kind of like, what? She didn't take it the way we thought she would.
That's the beauty.
But it ended up being such a good situation. My values weren't aligned really with what they, not so much divorce, people get divorced, that wasn't it, but it was more about their communication style. And my values just wasn't, not aligned. And so I thanked them. And now the client that I'm working with is paying me more money. They're so much kinder to work with, and they really kind of even leave me alone just to do whatever I'm working on. So I'm like, thank you.
Yay, hallelujah. Yeah, right.
Because
sometimes we cannot make that decisions ourselves because we haven't seen it yet. Right. And that it shows up and we're not ready to receive it. And then suddenly go like, oh my God, thank you so much. Thank you so much, universe. What about you, Michelle? Is there one pivotal moment in your life or professional journey that probably has led you to discover the gratitude flip? And what would that story be?
I have to say that I've had many milestone moments of gratitude from childhood into adulthood. And I can I have to speak to what Julie just said and tying my personal story in. There's so much power that comes from trauma. And I think that it's so important to see the gift that comes out of that. And the universe only, whatever's supposed to happen, happens. We just have to be willing to accept the torch, right? And when we're ready for it, we get the torch. And just like you look back in hindsight and say, that wasn't meant to be. And my God, there's so many other things ahead of me that are going to make me grow. And so in my life, I've had many milestones of gratitude. One of the biggest forms of gratitude I had, I suppose, is when my children were born, personally, for personal experience, because they just put everything in perspective for me. And professionally, the trust of my clients gave me power. When I realized that I had the trust of my clients, and only because I'm only working authentically with them, everything if you do authentically gives you peace and power.
Yes.
You can't go wrong. Even if you make a mistake, it's a learning experience. You can't go wrong if you're authentic. Yeah, you can make mistakes, but you don't have resentment. You don't hold on to anything that's ill feeling. And I also think it's important that you see that in other people. When you have empathy, when you have compassion, when you serve people with kindness, that opens you up to accept growth. So, and peace.
100%. Oh my God. And I'm having such a heartbeat moment. If you're just tuning in, folks, I just want to let you know that welcome to the show. We are today talking about gratitude flip, turning challenges into gold gems. And I want to read a comment that came in from Shannon. And she says, I am living that right now. I love to look at how I can use my pain to help others. Ooh, I love that. I'm having Zaf Goosey's hashtag. Going through this really tough time has led me to hyper focus on my passion and purpose and let go of all the things. Oh my God. Yes, absolutely, Shannon. I love that you share that. And I think for many of us, gratitude flip at that very moment, we cannot see it. Like I said earlier, we're angry. There's a lot of emotions or feelings that come up and show up just because in that moment, you're faced with whether it's hurt, betrayal, anxiety, or just like a stab in the back. You have all these emotions, but they're just there for a moment, and probably just like to have that connection to that situation longer than it should be is what we call attached emotions, right? So when we have attached emotions, we're not able to keep on moving forward. So I'm doing a lot of saying thank you, universe, for sending me this, and then I have to move on. Thank you very much. But hey, you can't stay. You have to move on, right?
Don't muddle in the pain.
Yes, don't model the pain. It's not always that easy. Yes, it's true. But we also have to keep on saying that to ourselves, like we're going to get over this. It's all mental power, right? Being mindful of where we are and do the work. And when we say do the work, it's just not about, oh my God, okay, I'm done. No, it's a lot deeper than that. So I also want to ask this question, right? So when we go through these challenges and before we get to like the gratitude moment, like, oh, thank God they fired me, or, thank God that happened to me. But to take you from that moment to that gratitude moment, SJ, what do you practice? Is there any specific rituals through those journeys you discovered for yourself? What worked for you in practicing gratitude so that,
Um,
it becomes healthier and just like, okay,
yeah.
I don't know what your ritual is.
Yeah, I don't know if I necessarily have a ritual, but what you brought up for me is the time limit on pain. Because I do think, we need to feel the emotion, we have to grieve, we have to mourn. Sometimes, now usually, when I get fired now, like that time is very, very small. Because I'm usually like, woohoo, okay, what's coming next? Um, but I do think, when something really hits us, we have to take that moment and we have to honor that moment.
Mm.
But you're reminding me of Christopher Reeves, that story of him and his wife. He was one of the most magnificent actors, super handsome, and he was Superman.
Mm-hmm.
And Christopher got into a horse accident
Yep.
where he broke his back and he ended up being in a wheelchair. In fact, he could not move beyond his head.
Mm-hmm.
And he and his wife, Dana, would have a daily ritual where they would mourn. They would give themselves 5 minutes in the morning to just cry, whether they would cry together, cry separately, or maybe, they both be like, hey, I'm okay today. I don't need to, I have no tears today.
Right.
And they really kind of limited that time to muddle in the pain, because I think that's where people get stuck. They just allow themselves to stay in that cycle over and over and over again. And so I get myself out of the muddling very fast. So I think maybe that's a ritual that I could point to. Another ritual that I have, and this is a yearly ritual, is I don't do it on Thanksgiving, but I do it on New Year's,
Mm.
where I kind of, I sit down with my journal and I kind of map out, what do I want for this year? What did I accomplish last year that maybe I'm proud of? Or what could I have done better? And I kind of do a recap or an
Oh, I
analysis
like that.
on that New Year's Day. And it feels really good to be planning for the year and to kind of like pop in vacations and say,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I want to have an adventure this week, and to kind of plug in those opportunities. Because if I don't, I just end up working all the time.
Yep.
So
Mhm.
that's another yearly
We
ritual.
entrepreneurs do that, right? Kind of
Yeah.
instead of just like, hey, sit down. Can you just sit down for a moment? Sit down. Like sit down, feel it, work through it. And that's part of the work that we talk about. The work
Yeah.
is, one thing I learned in this recent past 1 year in this crazy journey that I've been through. One of them, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, like, mindful podcasts, mental health, mental awareness, self-care podcasts. I heard one of the speakers, I'm having goosies as you say this, so I know I'm meant to share this, people. So in one of the podcasts, and it was this gal, she now runs a group of institution or academy for other mental health professionals, where she talked about, her own challenges, where she had like 3 family members pass on in probably a year and a half. That included her dad, her brother, and her mother. So she was kind of orphaned early on, like, and she said, the grief is just, so in a way for her story was grief to gratitude, right? So one of the things she practiced, and I really loved that she shared this. I'm having goosebumps. Hashtag that, people. Hashtag goosies. I feel like I'm gonna pee right now because I just need to share this. All right. So
Don't do that.
but we won't do that on the show. No, we're gonna do it really clean. So one of the things she said, and it dawned on me. I'm like, oh my God, because we're entrepreneurs, we can relate to this. We're always go, right? Okay, what's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? And we just kind of numb ourselves by just doing things. It's almost like a take flight practice, So what she said was, I don't care what you're doing, schedule 10 to 15 minutes, however long you need to grieve, she says, because when you feel the feelings and acknowledge that it has arrived in your life, and just pay attention to how you're feeling in the moment, what happens next is, after you cry the boohoo ugly cry, right? What happens is you will have this moment to reflect, and you go, oh my God, those are just feelings. And this gratitude flip comes on. I'm like, okay, now I can move on. Now I've done the grieving, whatever, cry, the ugly cries, acknowledge it came, but then you move on. You take the lessons with you and you move on. And I'm like, oh my God, just like going to the gym, just like, I don't know, taking your dog for a walk, schedule in 10, 15 minutes. So I've been practicing that. I was like, okay, today, and I also pay attention to my body to know that to let my body tell me, you have to be in gratitude right now. Whatever that happened 2 hours ago, that sucked. Yes, absolutely. But now sit for a moment. You're allowed to acknowledge your feelings. You're allowed to feel, and then transmute that, because then you get to move forward. What about you, Michelle? What do you do? I would love to hear this.
It's not that exciting, to be honest. But
that's okay. Michelle, you think it's not exciting for you, but some of our viewers who are watching will probably go, oh, I never thought of that. Right, SJ? We hear that a lot.
Listen, I happen to have not the best knees. Okay. So in the morning, when I wake up and I'm still in bed, I have some things that I do. But right before I do them, like, like lifts and stuff, I try to be quiet and present. And I try to think about what I want to achieve in the day. Do I do it every single day? No, but I'm aware and conscious of it. And I try to do it as much as I can. And I do it while breathing deeply, because that reminds me to breathe more deeply, because I tend to think that a lot of us walk around shallow breathing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, constantly, it's like, breathe, because it sounds silly, but it does remind you of how present you are.
Yes.
That you are a living, breathing human being.
Yeah.
And think about, how do I want to go through my day? What change do I want to make? Who do I want to connect with? How do I want to be a friend to myself? Not beat myself up.
Oh, I love that.
And try to just make that your mantra every day. And I really do feel like I move through life thinking, no matter what the hell happens to me, it can always be worse. There are people with so much. I am, not in other areas of the world. We are not in other areas of the world where there's so much stuff going on. And in the world we live in, there's so much coming into us that we're not even asking for. We must keep the path clear. We must keep our mind. We must have clarity, because if not, we're overcome with stress and the grief of everyone. So sit in your awkwardness, feel it, learn from it, and then move on.
That's kind of the extension of what I shared earlier. Like, and I like to point out on the fact that you said, if that doesn't happen every day, that's fine. Don't beat yourself up. I love that, because I did say
Yeah.
earlier on, schedule it. But what I mean by schedule it, if you feel like you have a little time today, right, schedule it in your head or put it on a paper, put it on a note, like sticky pad. It's like, take 15 minutes today. Doesn't matter what time, just take 15 minutes today. That's what I meant by scheduling it. And you made a great point, and I love that you said that, because oh my God, I'm having goosebumps again. Goosebumps calls like that expression of like, oh, okay. That you actually have to acknowledge that you have to be present, be in the moment. And if it doesn't happen the way you planned it, that's okay, because it's just the way it is. I also want to show what Shannon wrote here. She says, the other day, I did this with my husband. Breathe in the fresh air, hold it, let it gather all the stress and negativity, then blow it out and let it go. Yep, absolutely.
Yes.
You just like take a deep breath and just
The beach
So
does that.
good.
yes,
I
it's
go to the
so
beach.
good.
As soon as I go to the beach, everything goes to the sea.
I think
So good.
we don't practice enough, or we were not taught enough, right? So it doesn't matter whatever our history, our backstory is. Sometimes we are raised in an environment or family background that don't know or don't understand breathing or never practice it because it's passed on through generations. Now we do the work for ourselves, and one of the things that I've learned recently, those emotions that we hold, like in our hearts, however, because we're not processing it healthily, it stays in our body, imprinted in
Oh,
our body. That's why you have a headache. That's why, oh my God, shoulder blades are hurting. Oh, my finger is hurting, and all that. And that's what your body is trying to tell you, that something is off. So if we can process that energy and do even as basic as breathing and being present, that is awesome. That is how we move those crazy energies. And Shannon says, rinse and repeat. Yes, Shannon, we will do that. I just want to also share a little bit of Shannon's story right here. And she just gave me the permission, and she says, there is power in every story, 100%. And if some of you folks who are tuning in, make sure that you watch last week's episode, which is episode 10. And if we, our team at What Are Yourself Wednesdays, we looked left and we looked right. I think, was it you, Michelle, who said there's a lot of things happening in the world right now? We talked about that last week, and our team wasn't sure, like, how can we share, like stories of triumphs when we're all going through this? And we're like, it's okay to not be okay. So we did a show based on that title, and we loved it. We had a great conversation. So one of the things we talked about in the show is that we have to acknowledge that sometimes it's not okay. It's okay not to be okay, and then process and do the work, and then we release all that negative energy, and then be in gratitude. I listened to a podcast that says this gentleman was saying about we all strive to resolve issues, problems. It's not about resolving issues. It's about transforming those problems or those issues. And I'm like, oh my God. And then you'll be in gratitude, because you transform something from something that is maybe horrible, nasty, ugly, to something better. And I was like, oh, I love that. There's so much gratitude in that. And back to Shannon's story. She's right now. So Shannon is the co-founder of So Victory with Me, and also for the Water Yourself Retreat, folks. So Shannon is my event partner, event business partner. So she actually is going through some kind of health challenges right now. I won't go into details, but it's now she has an immune challenge where it's not. I think it's called CPRS. Shannon, if I say it wrong, drop it in the comments so I can put and highlight it on the screen. So right now, I think she's gone through 7 surgeries in the past of 2 years,
Wow.
and I think last 2 weeks. So she's still recovering. She was supposed to do a show last week, and we had to just reschedule everything. But she's having some challenges with this last surgery, because they had to take a mesh out from her body. But what I love about her journey, part one of like, I kept reminding her, always pay attention to what the body is saying. And she has that in her all the time. She's been saying, and then her doctors actually gave her wrong, what do you call it, assessment. So this final doctor agreed to, okay, I think it is the mash that's causing all this pain. I mean, like tremendous pain. I've seen her in that. So she's in gratitude for the fact that the mash is out. I'm certain
Yes.
of that,
Yes.
right? Hey, Shannon,
Amen.
we're praying for you. Oh,
Yeah.
she's saying here, CRPS, complex regional pain syndrome. So one of the surgeries has caused her to have this for life. So
Wow.
basically, she has, yeah. So she says right here, she says, I deal with stress mentally very well. So I always thought I dealt with stress very well. But I didn't realize for a long time what it was doing to my body. Now I know I have to release it fully. And she says, I'm going to get better. I know it. And I think, it's what we put out there, the energy that we put out there in the world, it'll come back. And there's so much gratitude in knowing what your body is saying, and pay attention to that. So we have a few more minutes here, ladies. I just want to say, in all our practices, from going to whatever we call the grieve or cray life or challenges, anxiety, whatever it is, right? So we talked about our rituals or practices that get us to gratitude. So for all our audiences who are probably tuning in on replay, on video on demand, or if you're watching live right now, what would you say to them, Michelle? Like any recommendations or suggestions on how we can use gratitude like a master key to unlock doors to new opportunities, right? And turn goals into masterpieces. The reason I ask this question is this, right? Because we are always in grief, but fight or flight, and we're not thinking it that this is we should be in gratitude so that we can create success or get to where we are with our goals or our objectives, right? So how can we use these, practices so we can unlock the keys, use it as a master lock to unlock doors of opportunities, success? What would you recommend?
Well, it's kind of going back to what we were talking about before. I think when you're present and you're grateful, there's power in that, and you're open. And when you're open, you're able to receive. You're not living a fearful life because you have so much power already. And I think being mentally open, knowing that you have mostly what you need already.
I love that.
You can be willing to open up yourself and accept and not and be daring and not be afraid to do things, and you'll value who you are because you're worthy. And when you know you're worthy, that's power, and you just keep going. You forgive yourself constantly. It's like,
I love that.
Like eating. I have a relationship with food my whole life, and it's getting better. But I've had to learn how to forgive myself so that I can stay on track. It's when we don't forgive ourselves that we repeat the same bad thing over and over and over again. Forgive yourself. Know you're worthy. Look around you. Be great. You're here. You're already worthy.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. And we know, Michelle, one thing you said, be present, open to receive. I think many of us don't understand what open to receive means, right? Because I can be complimenting you. I love your glasses. I go, no, this is an old thing. I'm like, now what I've practiced. So folks, if I tell you this, like, just accept it and say thank you. That means you're not opening to receive.
That's right.
Right, SJ, you taught me that too, right?
Don't take away my gift by telling me where you bought that cheap dress.
I know. Shannon says, she goes like, you are worthy. Absolutely, we are all worthy. So one of the things I can't remember who it was, probably you, SJ, taught me, like when I, he's like, I love your hair, or I love your scarf, or just old stuff. Just say thank you.
Just say thank you.
Just say thank
People
you.
are giving you a gift by the compliment.
This is true.
Absolutely.
One thing that you said, Michelle, about being present and also forgiving yourself. what that brought up for me is sometimes when, talking about the gratitude flip, like when we're talking about like, oh, this crappy thing happened to me, I find distraction to be a cure for almost everything.
Mm-hmm.
And a distraction for me can sometimes mean a new project. And my habit is I like to have the idea, then I tell somebody who likes my ideas and will say, oh, that's a good idea. I'm just, I don't tell my family. I don't tell a lot of my friends because a lot of my friends will be like, oh, no, don't do that.
Right.
Don't do that. That's going to cost you money or that's going to be hard. They'll talk me out of it. But I'll tell somebody who really likes usually I'll tell Zeph because Zeph loves my ideas. And then as soon as I say it and I get the confirmation that, oh, that's a good idea, now I have to do it.
Right.
I have to make a plan. I have to get into action.
Yep.
And all of those things that maybe I was feeling, on shaky ground, or I was feeling like, oh my gosh, this, crappy thing happened to me. What do I do? The distraction of the next thing, moving on from that horrible, whatever it might be, moving on from that, moving towards something new. That's almost always a great cure. And that's how I felt. And I believe that that's my routine as well. That's another thing that came up for me.
I am having a goosey moment because what you just
You and your
said.
goosies.
A lot of goosies. I tell you, a lot of goosies, right? All the shows, we always have these moments of like, oh my God, aha moments, the light bulb go off, and go like, oh my God, yeah, so true. One of the things, wait, let me just put this up so that y'all can read what Shannon says. I'm grateful for all of you sharing your stories and messages with us. I love that you said that, Shannon. And she says, I use distraction to keep my mind off the pain. I prefer to focus my thoughts somewhere healthy and productive. To that and to what you just said, SJ, is this, right? So one of the things that I've learned is, let me just put myself up on screen also, is that if we take, I wouldn't say that this applies for everybody. So you have to kind of test it out for yourself because, of course, all our shares here may not be resonating with you, right? Because you're probably angry at the moment. Maybe you were just hurt. You were just like, nope. But listen for a little bit and just think about this. I've tried this. What you just said there, SJ, is 100% for me at least. When I have these crazy moments, like I'm like, oh my God, like I feel stuck. One of the things that have helped me is this: I see another person, and I think energetically when I put it out there in the world, and I ask for certain specific stuff, right? So I get presented with other activities to distract me, right? And then in my moment of cray or this crazy healing lifestyle or work that I've done in the past year, suddenly I've had 8 people show up at my door. When I say my door is just, my space. They either had a breakup, they had a death, they had a separation, they had a divorce, they had a loss. And I'm thinking like, you're trying to humor me, right? God, universe, and stuff like that. But what it has helped me is that it takes away it becomes a distraction that you mentioned earlier, SJ. I'm not too focused right now on what I'm going through because now I'm looking at all the other experiences around me and I'm thinking like, why am I here? I probably have a purpose to serve, right?
Yes.
Maybe helping SJ, helping Michelle, helping Tom, I don't know who, but somehow it enlightens me because as I share what I'm practicing or I've learned, that it sticks in my head. Just like when you go to class every day, if you don't go to class, you don't get it, right? You don't pass your exams. I almost feel that way. So, I feel the distractions that come into my life are not really distractions also. They're actually me practicing gratitude and purpose. And I'm thinking like, no, because I have Zeph Goosies. That is exactly what you both shared. And I think the relevance in this entire story today, people, is that we just have to think about how we can be in gratitude by, helping others, by showing up, by, not getting stuck, find a way. And for me, driving seems to be my distraction. So I got in the car, I drove, right? I meet people. It has helped me kind of create some kind of balance. So we don't know what works for you. Take what you need, leave what you don't need. Right now, you're probably pissed and you don't want to do anything, and that's okay too. Because it's okay to not be okay. And you have to acknowledge that, right, ladies?
Yeah.
So I just want to say thank you to both of you for saying yes. Well, I'm having just like, oh my God, I'm so thankful. Thankful, just like my t-shirt says. I'm
You
so,
too.
yeah. I'm just so thankful that you both said yes. And the reason you both are in or say yes at 11:11, I know both were meant to be on the show and sharing your stories. There's a lot of aha moments in what you both shared. And I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you so much for saying yes to Water Yourself Wednesdays and sharing this story of gratitude flip, because it's not all about that craziness that we experience in the moment, but it's the lessons that come from it. And I thank you all both for sharing yours today. All right, everybody, I just want to say thank you for tuning in. And Shannon says accountability. And she says, I use distraction to keep my mind off the pain. I prefer to focus my thoughts somewhere healthy and productive, 100%. And she says gratitude. Thanks, Shannon, for being here. And to all of you who are watching in replay, be sure to connect with the ladies. I have both their information wherever you're reading this, the post on social media. Please be sure to connect with Michelle or SJ. And, if you have any questions and stories to tell, reach out to them and connect with them. All right. Until the next time, until the next show, everybody, this is Water Yourself Wednesdays. The transformation journey starts here. Bye, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody in the U.S. who celebrated. Bye. Thank you for tuning in to the show. We hope the stories shared have inspired you to water yourself. Your transformation begins here. Until next time, keep on manifesting the life you desire and truly deserve. The Water Yourself Wednesdays show is a production of Engage LLC and is brought to you by Water Yourself Retreat. Get more information about the event and community support at wateryourselfretreat.com. You can also follow us on your favorite social media platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube.